Welcome to the Florida Family LawCast. My name is Amber Kornreich, and today's session is on board certification tips from Cash Eaton. Cash Eaton is a board-certified family lawyer at Sasser, Sestero, and Roy in West Palm Beach. Cash is active in the family law section, serving on the section's executive council, on the legislation committee, and he regularly speaks and writes for CLE programs. He's been recognized with numerous awards and accolades, including the Legislation Award for his advocacy for the section in Tallahassee. Cash is known as an approachable mentor, organized leader, and a super diligent, sharp attorney. Thank you, Cash, for being here.
Well, thanks, Amber, for having me. Always glad to appear on behalf of the section and give my insight best I can.
So, Cash, why did you pursue board certification in marital and family law?
So those who know me know that there was a big push from, of course, from my office and my work. We're very fortunate to have a number of board certified attorneys. So there was always that kind of level of expectation that you would achieve that. But separate and apart from that, I've just one of those types of people that have always wanted to challenge myself and to have an objective standard with which to measure, my skills and how good am I. And I think that the board certification exam, preparing for it, going through it, achieving that goal for me, that was very important in order to kind of use it as a measuring stick. But also, I knew it would be a launching off point into doing other things too that I'm active in. So whether it's the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers, um, different bar organization things, and being able to speak at CLEs and stuff like that, I knew that that was always going to be something that I needed to achieve in order to be active and participate in those things.
So,
Yeah.
becoming board certified starts with an application. And we've heard from other guests that you have a very special spreadsheet for the board certification application. Can you please explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's no doubt that the application for many people, and I know it was for me as well, is kind of a daunting application. It's very long. It asks for a lot of different pieces of information. And one of the biggest parts of it is that you have to provide 18 substantial involvement cases. And so it's not always the easiest for me to go back and recollect the last 5 years of my caseload and everything that was involved in those cases. And so the easiest way for me to organize it was I made an Excel spreadsheet that has different columns in it. And so then the first couple of columns are biographical, case number, county where the case took place, case caption, so I knew who the people were. But then the other columns all mirrored what is within the application that make up what involves substantial involvement. So the one column is interviewing, another column is counseling. And so then I would go through each of my cases over the past 5 years. I put all the cases in the past 5 years into the spreadsheet. I'd go through and look, and I'd start Xing the columns of, well, did I interview with that person? Did I counsel them? Most of those, of course, are yes. But then, it gets more complicated. Did I actually do discovery? Did I take testimony in that case? Did we have a hearing? And so then that way I knew I could get organized and be able to tell which of the cases were the best cases to put in my application because I had the most involvement in those types of cases. And then also it just helped me to organize everything. So anyone can email me. I've passed this thing out, a blank version of this, to numerous people. I'm happy to do it because it's a good way to get all of that information organized.
What a great strategy. So, after you've made your application, it's time to start thinking about studying for the exam. What study tips do you have for this exam?
Um, I'm a big believer in going very macro and then start whittling it down, whittling it down, whittling it down. So I was a big believer in, and still am, in reviewing all of the Red Book materials that's provided. I did 2 years basically so I could catch any nuances or changes in the law, but I read all the Red Books. I do think that that's an important study tip um, to get your base level knowledge at a certain heightened level. But then the important stuff, or I think the thing that really kind of is the important where things take an important turn for studying is when you start whittling it down. So I'm a big fan. It's a lot of information that you have to press into your brain and put out on paper. And so I'm a big fan of mnemonics. We have a lot of factors-based tests. We have a lot of different factors with different language, but some of them mirror and some of them don't. it's a really good idea, in my opinion, to do mnemonics. I'm a big fan of mnemonics, so I would make mnemonics for literally every test: best interest of the children, alimony, unequal distribution, literally everything. And so I do think that that is a good test tip, um, because it really helps you to start whittling it down. One of the things, though, that I think often gets overlooked is that you got to really understand the type of studier that you are. And the best way, because it is so much information and it is a lot of hours generally that you're devoting to studying, is you've got to try and make it as fun as possible in order to be engaged in the material, because it can be a pretty dry material from time to time. So like I would do weird things in order to try and make it more fun. I made podcasts of me recording and teaching different subjects, and I knew no one was going to listen to it. It's not a podcast for fun. It's just to help me study. I'd replay those recordings. I'd teach people in my office so that I could start thinking about how I was going to express all this stuff on paper. I'm also a big fan of flow charts. And so I made a bunch of flow charts as to, okay, well, if I have an equal distribution issue, I'm going to do this first. And if it's this, then I'm going to do that. But if it's this, then I'm going to do that. Um, you know, anything to try and make it more fun and different than just reading, because you'll get really burnt out reading the same stuff over and over for months and months and months.
Wow, it's pretty innovative.
I
So,
try.
so shifting gears a little bit, you're a
Mhm.
leader in the family law section. What advice do you have for others who want to become leaders?
So I got this question recently in a different format, and so I've been kind of thinking about this a lot since it seems to be a question that gets asked a lot. One of them is say I've always enjoyed my time in the section. I've been involved in the section now for almost 12 years, so quite a long time. I know that early on in my section involvement, one of the mistakes that I made was trying to have my hand in everything. You get really excited to try and be a part of everything and to have a say in everything, and it can be sometimes overwhelming, but also sometimes you just naturally spread yourself too thin. I think for new people coming in, I've tried to really impress upon them that it's better to get involved in a singular thing or issue that you're passionate about and really kind of try and make it your own and flourish in that environment. So if you really like to read and write, don't go to a bunch of other committees and try and start, touching on different topics in there. Go straight to publications and start working with the people who are already in leadership on publications so that you can guest edit or write and, get articles published. If you are very passionate of, so I mean, do something like that. But if you are one of those types of people who are very passionate about meeting people, then it's completely okay to go directly to membership, because you can really make a name for yourself of getting more members and getting more people involved in that process, yeah, even if you're a younger lawyer. And the same goes with if you're talking about substantive committees. If you really are passionate about equitable distribution or feel like you really want to learn more about equitable distribution, it's okay to go straight there and focus on being there, meeting the people who are already in leadership in that committee, and then trying to see what work you can do to really kind of stand out and make a name for yourself. Because I do think that rising in the ranks of the section involves people knowing how much effort you're putting in and how good and devoted your work product is, as opposed to me, where I would just do sign up and volunteer for literally anything, but then I can't do everything. So now, I'm not putting out the best product on this project. I'm not putting out the best product on this other project. And it's all starting to, you know, build up and ball up while I'm also working. So I mean, I think that that's the best way to really try and rise up quickly within the section.
That's really powerful advice. Well, thank you, Cash. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I mean, I welcome anyone who I do try and be involved in the mentorship process that the section offers. So I'm happy to answer questions from anyone about board certification, the application process, and the test taking and all that. I love speaking about that. And if you see me out and about, we've got a bunch of events that are coming up over the next couple of months, and the review course will be here before you know it. Please feel free to come. Anyone watching this, feel free to come up, say hi to me, introduce yourself. I'm happy to talk and to get people involved, because I know when I first started, it was a daunting it felt very daunting. And I had my mom who was there with me when I first started in the section. And it still felt like a daunting process. So doing it alone must be even more daunting. So please, anyone feel free to come up and say hi, introduce yourself, and I'm happy to talk section talk with anyone.
Well, thank you, Cash, for your openness and being here today and your leadership.
Thanks, Amber. I really appreciate you having me. Happy to be here. Thanks, everyone.